The Fujifilm X70 was a super popular camera amongst street photographers and everyday shooters due to its compact form factor, fixed focal length, and fast focusing. Fast forward to present day and we have the brand new Fujifilm X-F10, which today we're going to see if it lives up to the legacy that the X70 left behind. So let's talk about the design aspect of the Fujifilm X-F10. So it is very similar to the X70 in terms of its form factor, however there are a couple differences. You'll notice at the back of the camera there is now no D-pad, meaning the only way for you to navigate around the menus in the camera is to use the included joystick. In terms of navigating the camera, the menu system is nice and simple and there aren't really that many buttons for you to confuse yourself over, so using the camera is quite easy. At the bottom of the camera, you've got a battery door which houses an MP95 and an SD card. In terms of the screen, the X-F10 uses a large 3-inch touchscreen which is nice and bright. It can be used to select your autofocus points as well as shoot, however you cannot use the touchscreen to navigate through the menu. At the front of the camera, you will notice that there is a little lens attached to it which does not zoom, but there is a ring on the lens that is fully programmable. So at the moment, we've got this set for ISO, so you can quickly wind the wheel for you to change your ISO, which is quite neat. It can also be programmed to do other features on the camera as well, such as changing white balance. On the right hand side of the camera, you've got 3 ports. You've got a micro HDMI port, a USB port for transfer as well as charging, and you've also got a mic remote port as well. Just a note, if you are going to be plugging an external microphone into the X-F10, there is unfortunately not a spot for you to mount the mic on. So what we'd advise for you to do is to use a battery powered lapel mic if you are looking to add in external audio. On top of the camera, you've got 3 dials. You've got a mode dial and 2 control dials that help you change your aperture and your shutter speed. 3 things I wish the Fujifilm X-F10 did have was 1, an electronic viewfinder just to help out on those bright sunny days. Secondly, a tilting or articulating screen of some kind to help you shoot those different perspectives and just ease of shooting all around. And lastly, a hot shoe mount just so you can mount on those external microphones. So there's a cool new feature in the X-F10 called Snapshot AF. And basically what it does is it pre-focuses for you at a certain distance. So there's 2 modes you can choose. There's 2 meters where it will focus for you at 2 meters at an aperture of f8 and then 5 meters at 5.6. So this would be really beneficial for people like street photographers who don't really want to pull out their camera, focus and then shoot. Now all you have to do is just take out your camera and shoot and the photo should be already in focus for you. Let's give it a whirl and see how it works. So right now I'm in the 5 meter mode, but I can't really gauge how far 5 meters is. I'm gonna assume one of my feet is about 20 to 30 centimeters. So if we say, we're gonna say this is about 5 meters away from me, but there's no subject for me to take, but there is a guy coming now on a bike. So we're gonna see if this works. I need like a virtual ruler. He's not going very fast. All right, 5 meter snapshot, first shot, let's go. And is it in focus? It's in focus. Boom. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna swap over the Snapshot AF from 5 meters to 2 meters, which will now shoot all my photos at f8, and I'll see how effective that is. In terms of Snapshot AF, 85% of the time it works pretty well. My only piece of advice when using it is to shoot it in manual mode instead of aperture, shutter speed priority, or program auto. Reason being is the shutter speeds that it chooses isn't really ideal. Like at a certain time I was shooting Josh where I had a pretty decent ISO. It chose to shoot at 1/30th or 1/40th of a second when I could have realistically shot at 1/100th of a second to make my photos a lot sharper and reduce the risk of blurring the photo. So in terms of image processing power, the XF10 houses a huge 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor and a really cool, neat pancake lens, which is an 18.5mm, which is equivalent to 28mm in full frame, giving you a versatile wide angle shooting experience while allowing you to shoot close up as well. The max aperture on the lens is f2.8 and the minimum aperture is f16, giving you a variety of depth of field and versatility in multiple lighting conditions. So there's two burst modes in the Fujifilm X-F10. So you've got the standard continuous shooting mode, which gives you 6 frames per second, and then you have an 8 megapixel 4K burst mode, which shoots at 15 frames per second. So we're going to test both out to see how effective they are and compare the image quality between the two on these cars that are about to pass by after the traffic light goes green. Okay, that's done. Okay, burst. So as predicted, the continuous shooting speed at 6 frames per second, the photos coming out of that are a lot more detail heavy compared to the 4K burst, which is not too bad. It still has a lot of detail, but you can tell that it is softer. One of the best things about the 4K shooting mode though, is that apart from being able to just take the burst when you press the button, you can actually tell the camera to start shooting before you press the button and do a pre-burst. So in really important moments where you know you can't miss, having that 4K pre-burst function is really helpful so you don't miss a moment. So right now I'm testing out the 4K video, which unfortunately can only do 15 frames per second. So it looks like everything's like a bit jittery. So if you are going to be using this camera predominantly for 4K video, I wouldn't advise it. The full HD video on the other hand, you get up to 60 frames per second, which is a lot more usable. And what I found that in a day like this, where it's super bright, because there's no screw thread for you to attach an ND filter on, and the camera doesn't have a built-in ND filter, it's gonna be pretty hard at times for you to shoot video. And so I feel like if you're going to be using the XF10 predominantly for video, I probably don't advise it. It's more of a camera that you can casually do a bit of video if you need to, but I wouldn't advise going the XF10 if you're looking at a camera for vlogging per se or video content creation predominantly. So in terms of autofocus, the Fujifilm X-F10 is actually pretty good. It's fast, reliable, and it's really easy to change your points as well, just using the touchscreen or the joystick. Now, in terms of low light focusing, I feel like at times it does hunt a bit in lower light situations, but it's nothing too bad. Other things to note as well, when using the XF10 and you're out and about, like a day like this, the screen does a pretty good job in bright daylight, but when you really are in the whole heap of immense sunlight, then it is pretty hard to see your screen. So maybe get some kind of sun hood or just use the good old hand covering technique and you should be okay. As I was demonstrating before on video, I felt the continuous autofocus in video isn't that up to scratch. It does keep up well, like when we were tracking the cars going from 0 to maybe about 20-30 kilometers per hour, it did a pretty good job then. But I feel like if you're trying to track like Formula One or like something extremely quick, the camera may not be able to keep up. But just remember, this is a compact camera. It's probably not meant to do some hardcore tracking. Look at the Fujifilm X-T3 or the X-H1 for that. So as I mentioned earlier, the lens is a 28mm equivalent, so you can get pretty close. So as I'm focusing on this leaf here, I can get about this close up to it and still focus and take a shot. Pretty neat. The image quality from the XF10 is excellent as expected from a Fujifilm APS-C sensor. The camera deals pretty well in mixed lighting conditions and in moments with harsh highlights. The lens coating does deal surprisingly well against flaring as well. All the JPEG shots showed exceptional sharpness throughout the frame. When shooting the camera at wider apertures, the edges and crispness of the images really show. Surprisingly, as you start to stop down towards f16, the edges do get a bit soft. The camera has a native ISO range of 200 to 12,800. In high ISOs, the XF10 does pretty well to handle noise, making it the perfect camera for those nighttime street outings or general low light usage. In terms of video quality, the XF10 produces some pretty good looking video and would be more than capable for anyone looking to do some casual video shooting. The 4K may not be the greatest in terms of frame rate flexibility, but having 60 frames per second in Full HD is enough for you to shoot a bit of slow motion and everyday video. Just note, there is only digital stabilization inbuilt in the XF10, so it might be ideal to invest in some form of grip for extra stabilization. So my final thoughts on the Fujifilm XF10. Now, although it won't be a camera that will appeal to everybody, it will definitely appeal to a large market of simplistic shooters. For example, if you are a mobile phone shooter, you'll benefit from its touchscreen controls, high image quality, and fast shooting speeds. Likewise, if you are a travel photographer or street photographer, you'll also benefit from its fast processing speeds, snapshot AF, and a bunch of other features. For people who are looking for a camera that'll do a bit more and get a bit more zoom action, it's probably more beneficial for you to look at an entry-level Fujifilm camera such as the X-T100, where you can explore a large range of X-series lenses to complement your style of photography. For a camera that costs under $800, the Fujifilm XF10 is packed full of performance and features, and is definitely a camera that we recommend for anyone looking for a pocket-sized compact camera without compromise on image quality. If you have any questions on the Fujifilm XF10, pop them in the comments below. Make sure to follow us on our Facebook, Instagram, and our blog for full written reviews, as well as what's going on in store, and links to those are in our description below. And as always, make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button so you don't miss out on our latest updates as we upload videos weekly.